So, what you thinking about?
My dating projects. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of my knitting vlog. I was very surprised with the success of my first video. I feel like I got a warm hug from the fiber arts community. I want to thank anyone that watched and subscribed from there, and I had a lot of fun reading through the comments. So today it's been about a month, and I told myself I was going to film about once a month, so I want to meet my deadline. So here we are. I didn't take the time to introduce myself in the first video, so I will now. My name is Hillary, and I live in Vermont with my partner Nathan. We are getting married in 5 months, so we are in the middle of wedding planning, but it hasn't been too stressful, so all is going well. I am a lab scientist by day, and I have an unfortunate commute about 2 hours a day, so I try to get in some knitting before work and then in the evenings after work. If I'm not knitting or working, I really like to ski, and it's been a great season so far, and I actually just got some new skis, so this weekend I'm definitely going to get out on those. In the summertime, I like to gravel and mountain bike. I try to have a couple gravel races on the schedule each year just to have something to train for, and then we found ourselves going to the bike park a lot this summer, and I kind of focused on working on my jumps and drops and stuff, and I'm very proud of my progress there. So yeah, I started about when was it? January 2023 is when I started knitting, and I used YouTube to teach me all the skills I have right now, and I'm starting to kind of make a knitting library, so I do have a couple books that helped me with like different stitch techniques and stuff like that. What is my count since I've started knitting? I have my notes here. I've knit 9 hats, 1 scarf, 5 cowls, 7 mittens, 7 pairs of mittens, 2 blankets, and 9 tops, which include tees and sweaters, and I think 1 vest. So that's a little intro about me. So let's kind of dive into what I want to share with you today. I have to admit, I went into a bit of a knitting hiatus right after I posted my last video. I think I took about 2 weeks off. I was done all of my projects, and I was waiting for some yarn to come in, and I kind of just felt like I needed a break. It was the holidays, so yeah, I took a break from knitting, but now I am getting back into the swing of things. And randomly during that break, I had a spur of the moment unraveling of a sweater. So I kind of want to give a moment to that sweater because even though it was a good choice to unravel it, I do kind of miss it. So I was actually wearing it in my previous episode. It is the Baba sweater by ANKESTRiCK, and it is a lovely sweater. Lovely pattern. I had a lot of fun knitting it up. I just kind of rushed into it and I wasn't meeting gauge, and I picked a size that was way too big. So I saw a picture of me wearing it to a coffee festival, and I was like, it's a little too big. I felt like I was being kind of swallowed up in it, and then I was like, maybe I'll just keep it for a lounge sweater around the house. And I was like, you know what, I have too many of those. I have a couple go-to sweatshirts where I like to lounge in. I don't really want another sweater with this lovely yarn where I'm not going to wear it out. So I took an hour to unravel a sweater that took me about 2 to 3 months to knit. I wasn't really rushing on it, so I think it would have been a quicker knit if I had really stuck to it. The yarn I used was Knitting for Olive Merino in Pea Shoots in Pearl Gray, and I held those 2 strands together with Knitting for Olive Silk Mohair in Pearl Gray. When I unraveled it, I kept the 3 strands together, so I have several of these balls of yarn ready to go for, I'm actually going to knit 2 garments with it, and I did start 1. I'm almost done, so I'm going to share that with you. So I decided to cast on a neck warmer. I say almost done because, as you can see, I have some ends to weave in, but friends, my biggest thing, I was trying so hard to have a perfect 2x2 rib collar with like no spaces, everything looks neat, and then I didn't realize that I'm not going to be able to get this over my head. So I went to put it on and it got stuck. So it looks really pretty. It looks like I almost have a finished object, but not quite. I'm going to unravel and start over with the collar. I'm going to size up a needle, and then I'm also going to be more conscious when I'm pulling on my tension that I'm not making it too tight. So this pattern is the Saga Winter Neck by November Knits, and I'm going to share more about this pattern once I finish it, and then I'll actually try it on. You can see how it looks. But it was a really quick knit. I really enjoyed it. So to be continued with this pattern, I'm going to redo the collar, and then hopefully I'll be able to try it on at some point. I do plan on knitting 2 garments from the yarn that I unraveled from that sweater. I haven't decided on the second one yet. I do think it's going to be a vest because I've really been itching for another vest in my wardrobe. So yeah, so I'm gonna research some patterns, and then I'll update you on what I decide. As for the rest of this video, I think I'm gonna go vlog style. I decided that we're gonna do a realistic how much knitting I can get done in a week. I really don't have much progress to share on a project I just casted on. If you did watch my last video, I was planning on casting on the Storm Sweater by Petite Knit, and as I was browsing for yarn because I didn't like the first choice that I did, and then I just kept seeing it pop up on my feed every day. It's a beautiful sweater, so I understand why everyone is knitting it, but I think I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm really craving an all over textured knit, and I didn't do a deep dive into different patterns available. I kind of just went, the Storm Sweater is what I want. So I paused, I did some research, and I found another pattern that I really like. It is popular, but it's not so much that it's being posted about every day. So I think I'm going to get into my knitting spot, and I'm going to do some few rows, and then I will share with you what I decided to cast on. It's Saturday morning around 6:30, and I decided to record a little bit before we head to the mountain. I'm wearing my striped pipe sweater by Kutovakika. I think I'm going to wear that today. So I'm going to finally share what I decided to cast on for my textured knit. It is the Kip Sweater by Clow. It's an all over slip stitch pattern, so you get this like herringbone look, and it's a drop shoulder, and I have made great progress. So I'm going to flip the camera around so I can show you. So I just cast it on for the left shoulder. I finished the upper back portion, and I'm loving it so far. I only had some slight difficulties with the increases because I felt like I wasn't starting with the correct either knit stitch or slip stitch like it called for in the pattern. So I honestly just made sure that whatever I started with would line up with when I needed to slip next. So I didn't follow it completely, but everything else I've been following it like the pattern has written out. I'm using Sunde and Pure Gint in the colorway Ash Melange, and I'm really liking it. I had to size down a needle size, so I'm using a US 7 4.5 millimeter needle, and I think that is one needle size smaller than what the pattern calls for. And it is a 22 stitch gauge, and yeah, I'm really loving it so far. I'm going to do a little bit more work on the left shoulder, and then I'm going to eat breakfast, and we're going to head to the mountain. I might bring it with me, so I'll share if I make any progress there. It's Sunday morning, and I actually just filmed this whole section and then watched it back and realized my microphone was crackling the whole time. So I am not using a microphone, so I hope the sound sounds okay. I just got done doing a few rows on my Kip Sweater, so I'll share the progress I've made there. I finished the increases on the left shoulder, and now I'm working on the right. For as little as I've been working on this project, I feel like it is knitting up rather quickly, and I'm excited to do some more progress on that later. I'm taking a break from that project right now to share with you another project I've started. It's going to be a self-drafted seam sweater that I will use as a backcountry ski layer. I picked seamed because I feel like that is the sturdiest construction that I have in my wardrobe. I have one sweater that I've made that way, which is actually my very first sweater. I used a YouTube tutorial by Kutovakika, which is the Sunde Brunch sweater. This is Barocco sesame worsted weight yarn held double, and it's the colorway Soba, and it is so squishy. There's a lot of charm to my first sweater, and one of them being really tight armpits and some ends that didn't really stay woven in, and now they're really short. I don't plan on unraveling this to fix any of this. I want to preserve my very first sweater, but I am using this as a guide to remake a better fitting seamed sweater. So I went ahead and took some notes of my measurements, and I picked some yarn that I had in stash. This is the Ultra Alpaca Light, also from Barocco. It is 50% superfine alpaca with 50% Peruvian wool, and it's very soft. I only had 2 of these in stash, so I ordered some more, and I started a kind of like sample or practice for the sweater that I ultimately knit when the yarn comes in, and I'm kind of reworking different elements to it. I did start the back portion with the backwards loop cast on method, and then I picked up for the shoulders and knit to the front. And now I'm going to continue working flat for the front and back, just so I will get that sturdy seamed on the side and it won't stretch out as much. I'm also kind of working out what type of collar I want to use. This is just a standard 1x1 rib collar with the standard bind off method, and not a fan. I knew I wasn't going to be a fan, so I don't know why I just kind of went with it. And I wanted to be able to try it on and make sure that the shoulders were a good fit for the drop shoulder construction. So I'm gonna take the collar out and I'm gonna rework that. It's probably still gonna be a 1x1, but maybe a folded and a little bit higher, so it will keep me warm if it's on a really cold ski day. So yeah, this is gonna be like my practice. Like, I will do a technique on here, and then I will go back to my final sweater, and I'll do the rest of it on there. So it's kind of fun to have kind of something I can mess up and then tear it out, work it again. This will never be a full sweater. I don't want to really have 2 of the same sweater, and I don't want to buy double yarn. So I'm just going to use like one skein to kind of work something and then take it out again. So yeah, that's another project I'm working on. I want to try to get that done just because it is ski season right now, and we are hitting negatives most mornings, and it's really not warming up a lot, so this would definitely be useful right about now. So I'm going to try to work on this as much as I'm working on the Kip sweater, and then I'm also gonna start browsing for I'm just really itching to cast on a pair of socks. I don't know, I want to have a small project, and I seem to be bringing these big sweater projects in the car, and once you start getting to the body, and that's too much for a car knit. So I'm going to do some research for just a simple sock pattern, and I'm also going to do some editing right now. I feel like I am very limited on time during the week, so I'm going to kind of film a section, and then I'm going to do some editing just to keep up with it, and by the time I'm done, I just got to do a little bit of the ending, and then I'm going to post it all. So yeah, so that's the plan for the rest of the day, and then I probably just work on my Kip sweater and see how much I can get done on that. So yeah, I'm gonna do some Ravelry browsing and then do some editing. So I just finished up working on the video, doing some knitting. I think in total I've been sitting here for about 3 hours, so I need to get up and actually do some work around the house and prepare for the work week. So I'm knitting on hold for now, and then I'll pick it up later. We've officially made it to the end of the week. Unfortunately, I did not film as much as I wanted to at the beginning of the week. I had a couple other things going on, one of them being picking up my wedding dress. So I had a girls' day with my mom and future mother-in-law and to go pick up that, and it fits great. I only need a couple little alterations and then it is ready for the big day. And then also it snowed this week, so obviously I was outside playing in that most nights after work. So I got a little bit of progress on my projects, but not as much as I thought, but that's okay. I did frog the collar of my neck warmer. I was telling you guys earlier, I just made it way too tight and I couldn't get it over my head. So I'm going to restart. I've got a bigger size needle ready to go and I'm going to work on that. And then hopefully I'll be able to wear it soon. Yeah, excited. And then I still have to decide on what I'm going to use the rest of the yarn for, but it's going to be a vest. I know it. So then I worked on my Kip sweater, and this is the project bag I keep it in. It was actually a gift from my mom. We took a family day trip up to Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, and I had a project bag with me because I was working on something in the car, and I actually broke the straps. And I really didn't say anything. She just noticed, and then we went into a store up there, and she came out with this, and it is my favorite bag. I keep all my bigger projects in it. Have lots of pockets on the sides and inside, and my Kip sweater's in here. So let's show you what I finished. So I actually joined in the round. I'll show you the front. Joined in the round. I was able to try it on. It's hard to tell right now, but it's fitting well. Once I get the collar on, it'll be a little bit more realistic. But yeah, it was very easy. I was nervous because I was mentioning earlier, I was kind of making up what stitch I wanted to start with at the beginning of the rows. And I was like, oh no, maybe I should have followed the pattern so that it was right underneath the armpits. But then it said in the pattern that you won't always match up correctly with the pattern repeat. So yeah, that's happening. So I kind of just fudge. I do like one stitch instead of two to kind of make it look like it's a continuous pattern. So no issues there. And I'm having a lot of fun. I'm a little nervous because I'm already on my 4th ball of yarn. And I think I only bought 9. I originally bought it for a different project, so I didn't actually buy the quantity exactly to what I would need to knit this. So it's really being used up fast because of that slip stitch, and it's a pretty thick fabric. So I'm just going to watch that. I might have to order a little bit more, which is fine. But yeah, so the plan is to keep working on this, and then hopefully I'll have a finished project for you guys. Hopefully I'll have the neck warmer, and then I still haven't decided on a sock pattern. I think it's just going to be a vanilla sock. I'm probably going to go to the yarn store today, see what they have for some sock yarn, and then just a really simple pattern, just so, yeah, I can have a card knit and not bring this sweater along, especially with it being white. I don't know. I want to be careful and not getting anything on it, and moving it around too much might cause some stains or something. So yeah, so that's it for my week of knitting. I'm so glad you guys were here to follow along. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing so you can keep up to date with what I'm working on next. And I will see you next time. Bye.